they were all challenging, but the scene that I think I'm really proud of is the scene that myself and Eileen have in the bedroom. They're talking around things, but I think for the first time they actually address what's going on, and Bill actually, and they're both of their distinct point of views kind of come into conflict, and it's such a key moment in the film, and well, your performance in it, like it's kind of heartbreaking because they both want the same thing. They both want the daughters to be safe. They both want to do well. They're hanging on by their fingernails trying to raise these kids, but yet he's struggling. He's being drawn one way, and she's trying to pull him back, and it's that beautiful tension. So I think if we didn't get that right enough, the film would have worked, honestly.
I think there's also that moment, what you were saying earlier, that Claire has written him as somebody who keeps his eyes down, can't make eye contact so much. And I think that scene is where they see each other for the first time in a very long time.
And he actually turns around and looks at it. Yeah.
And I think that's when you go, oh shit, you know me. You know me deep. And I'm afraid of where you're taking this family.
Yeah.
I was in the middle of rehearsing Eileen Walsh's play with my sister, and the play's called The Same, and it's just she and I in it. And we were about to go to New York with it, and she got COVID. And I went into town and picked up a copy of Small Things Like These because we adored Foster so much and all her short stories. And I remember trying to not get COVID, but push it under her door to her. So that was a very intense little time of being. I got COVID after that. And
I read it during lockdown as well, and like Foster too, it just packs such punch, and you're just kind of left reeling from it, and it stayed with me. But funnily enough, when I read it, I didn't instantly go, oh, we should make a film out of it. That came later, kind of about a year later. But the book had stayed with me the whole time. In many ways, I mean, it's a big responsibility taking a book like this and trying to do justice to it. It's very faithful. I think the adaptation that Enda did is very faithful to the novel. A lot of the dialogue in the book, or in the movie, I should say, is from the book. And I think what we did, or what we tried to do, was to play the subtext always. And play, as you say, the space, and play the silence, and play what's unsaid in it. And what I loved about the book, and what I think we get in the film, is that the story really starts when the book finishes and when the film finishes. You know what I mean? There's so much left open to the reader's or the viewer's imagination. But it was a big challenge, and we wanted to preserve that as much as we could.
That's a good question, though, isn't it, too? Because often the best films have that. They don't give you answers. They just give you questions. And, I remember coming out of Anatomy of a Fall and going, that's leaving everything open, and you're desperate to know, and yet as a grown-up, you just kind of go, you have to fill it in. And I think this does the same. Claire's story ends on such a cliffhanger that you as a grown-up have to see how you would deal with it, Claire has written with such delicacy the historical accuracy and the emotional impact of a time. So it is hugely important to tell these women's stories. But, the women were in there because they got pregnant. They can't do that on their own. So it's important to also see the male protagonist and to see the impact, the fallout, what happens. The fact that his own mother was considered a fallen woman. It's really it's, I don't know, it's just important to see generationally what happens. If you keep treating, if you keep isolating, then there has to be a payback at some point, you know. But I think Claire's work will always, she's not afraid of being hard on her men, relentlessly hard on her men, I think. But I don't think she chooses a side, you know.
Yeah, and I think the fact that, like you said, Bill's mother, it was only like Bill, it's almost like he's saving his own mother in many ways, because his mother, and he exists because of an act of kindness, an act of charity, you know, and these girls are receiving the opposite of that. And so it's just brilliantly drawn. Do you know what I mean? And the fact that it's written by a woman, but it's the protagonist is a male, but it's a story about women, I think is very special.